Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist and a licensed mental health counselor. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the contents in this channel. Nicola Bully was reported missing on the 23rd of January 2023. Nicola Bully dropped off her two daughters to the school. She parked her van in front of the school, as she usually does, or she does that often, and she took a walk at the River Wye that is near the Irish Sea in Lancashire. Nicola was reported missing around 10 a.m., I believe. Law enforcement came down to the scene. A search was conducted and divers were sent down to the river near the bench, but it is really shallow near the bench. So for me personally, it doesn't make sense if Nicola Bully fell off willingly or unwillingly, she would have still been found not far from where she fell in. Wide searches was conducted for a couple of weeks, at least 27 days, I believe. A psychic, a dog walker, and a friend of the dog walker found Nicola Bully's body caught up on the weaves of the River Wye. Strangely enough, it was always said by Paul, Nicola's partner, that he personally does not believe that she's in the river. He said that people do not vanish through thin air. Paul said that he wanted every attic, building, river, the River Wye, properties nearby to be searched and investigated properly. But he kept on telling us in both the interviews that he does not believe Nicola was in the river. For me personally, I find it difficult to believe that Nicola, trigger warning, unlived herself, or that Nicola could have accidentally fallen in the river. Because the river near the bench was very shallow, and many people seem to be going around saying that Nicola was last seen near the bench. But the news and the police reports and statements has always said that Nicola's phone and dog made it to the bench, but Nicola did not. So I personally wonder if something happened in between the field of where Nicola was, near the bench. Because if Nicola fell in the river, she would have been found immediately. This is a mystery that I believe we will never get an answer. Although an investigation has been opened by the coroner's office, the HM Senior Coroner's Office, to find out what led to Nicola Bully's death. There's a lot of conspiracy theories going on. For me, I am personally interested in finding out what happened the day law enforcement, the police, and the medical team was called to Nicola's house. Was it a mental health episode? Was it a domestic violence episode? Because I always believe people need to go back and not concentrate on what happened and at the timing that it happened, but it's really important to go back a couple of weeks, a couple of months to see if there's any red flags that we missed. Nicola could have been overwhelmed, she could have been depressed at work, but the police said that they believe that the tennis ball of Nicola's dog Willow could have fallen and Nicola could have fallen in accidentally. That was one of the very first theories I had at the beginning, but when I found out that it was only too shallow near the bench, it did not make sense. I've been searching all the medias and the social medias to check if Nicola was in that exact spot before, previously, like around the bench areas, and there is a clear picture of her two daughters, and Paul sitting near the bench. So I would assume this is a place that Nicola knows well, that Nicola loves. So I don't see any reason for Nicola to have slipped by mistake, especially if you know that the water is dangerous and accidents can happen. I don't think Nicola would have taken the chance to search for a tennis ball in the river. That did not make sense at all. And the police said from the start, they told Sky News and all the mainstream medias that they checked the banks, the river banks, they checked in the river, they checked outside in the properties. So it is very strange. It is a red flag. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it doesn't make much sense that Nicola's body appeared on the other side, caught up in the reefs. I hope that they do some thorough investigations in this case, because I personally believe Nicola's two daughters, Nicola's family needs that peace of mind. It is a tragedy that a young mother's privacy was breached by law enforcement, and if I'm not wrong, I've read that it was Paul who gave them that information of Nicola's addictions and menopause struggle, and that I find that person as a red flag, because law enforcement was called to Paul and Nicola's property 10 days before Nicola went missing. The pictures that were shown the last day Nicola went missing looks to me personally, trigger warning, that Nicola has bruises on her face and under her chin and under her neck. I thought at the start that it could have been dirt, could have been car oil or something, but it wasn't. I checked the other picture of her walking out of her house, the last footages, and she had marks around certain areas. I'm not implying that there was assaults or domestic violence going on, but I would have loved to know that. Since the personal details have already been breached, I'm not saying that law enforcement should breach more, but I'm saying that law enforcement should they should make an investigation, a deeper investigation, because this does not seem to be right. Nicola seems to be a good mother. Her neighbor, her next door neighbor and best friend, said in her interview that Nicola was a devoted mother, a devoted friend. She said Nicola would never leave her children. So I believe personally, if Nicola was really struggling of mental health issues or alcohol issues, that it should have been noticeable from the start. Every picture of Nicola you see, of her house, of herself, of her children, she's always on point, she's clean, she's neat, she's pretty, she's stylish. Her friends have nothing but good things to say in the community. Unless Nicola was silently struggling of mental health illness. But what I don't understand is if Nicola was struggling like Paul told law enforcement, why would Paul let Nicola, example, if she was struggling of alcoholism and other issues like menopause, why would Paul let Nicola drive the two young daughters to school? Isn't that a red flag itself? Why is Paul letting Nicola drive the children and their dog Willow? Because Paul said that Willow is like their third child. So why would he let somebody who's struggling, his partner who's struggling with mental health issues and addictions, why would he let her drive, not even walk, drive the children to school? Another red flag that I think is a huge red flag that I notice is when Nicola is opening her van and putting in Willow, the last footage we see, you clearly see that Nicola has a red purse. I live in the UK and I know one thing for a fact. We never leave purses or bags in a bag because of robbery and such things. Because especially if somebody sees a purse in a car, a criminal, they would definitely take advantage of it. So I find it strange that Nicola's red purse wasn't found in the bench. I wonder if that was found in the car. There's just so many things in this puzzle that doesn't make sense. Accidents happen, drownings happen, but it's just the whole manner with all the searches, private searches, law enforcement searches, divers, zoners, everything that has been used, all the resources, everything that has been used. I just find it a bit strange and a bit odd that Nicola fell into a river that is so shallow. And if you hear clearly the first Sky interview, or not interview, the first Sky statements, and even 2 days before Nicola was found, when Sky was doing their interview and there were the two reporters were talking to the old man Ron, you could clearly hear the timeline that Nicola was in the field and not sitting on the bench. She wasn't near the river or the bench. So I don't understand how come things have been changed from day one up to now so quickly. Because if Nicola was in the field, there wouldn't be any possibility for Nicola to fall off into very shallow water. searches was done on the river bank, on the creeks, on everything, but there was no sign of Nicola. Another thing that I personally find as a red flag, that is just me personally, or maybe not a red flag, but kind of, I feel, or I personally believe that Nicola Bulley's partner Paul could have been more active in the searches. I personally do not believe he was. He made himself quite unavailable, saying that the girls need him, which is true. But so does Nicola. So does Nicola want to be found. The girls want their mother to be found. You usually see loving partners and loving families camping out near where the loved one was lost. People are different the way they mourn and grieve, but I haven't seen much emotions, empathy from Paul, and that's my personal opinion. And Paul is the one actually that gave me the doubts that Nicola was never in the river, because he said in the interviews himself, something happened to Nicola. Find her, find her, find her. He kept on saying. He said she's not in the river. She's not in the river. So how come she appeared in the river? It was Paul who gave the law enforcement the information that Nicola Bulley had mental health, had alcohol addictions and menopause struggle. But her next door neighbor, who's a best friend, said that Nicola would never leave her children, that Nicola was a hard-working person, and you can clearly see that from her. I know people can say that not everyone shows their struggles and they can hide it and all, but no, not in such a manner. I'm not saying that Nicola wasn't depressed. I'm sure she was overwhelmed from work. She was depressed, but I absolutely don't believe that Nicola was a heavy drinker on the daily watch, on the daily means. Her neighbor, who's a best friend, is her next door neighbor, would have mentioned it. She wouldn't have said all those positive things about Nicola when Nicola was missing, and even after Nicola was found. So I don't understand why this statement from law enforcement was put out in the first place. Because this is about a human being's rights. You don't put out confidential information about a 45-year-old mother who has two beautiful daughters who will be raised without their mother. They should be left with good memories of their mother and not memories that are untrue. The reason I say untrue is because poor Nicola Bulley is not here to defend herself. I find many red flags in this case, but law enforcement said from the start there isn't a third party. But I believe that shouldn't be ruled out. Everything should be taken in consideration. From the picture I saw the footage of Nicola Bulley when she left home. She didn't look like this picture. She looked like she had bruises on her face. So was domestic violence the reason? Trigger warning that law enforcement and the medical team had to visit Nicola. I believe all these things with the alcohol and the menopause was something that Paul, I'll be honest, allegedly used against Nicola. Because he knew she was gone, maybe. She wouldn't be coming back to defend herself. That's my personal opinion. Because everything is changing in this case and there isn't any proper investigation done, which I hope for the sake of Nicola's daughters, it will be done someday. But the truth shall reveal. The truth shall set people free. Because it's really a tragedy, it's sad. Not only did Nicola Bulley lose her life, her daughters are left with their mother's confidentiality rights, whether it's true or untrue, being breached. I hope Nicola Bulley gets her justice here and hereafter. I hope we come to the truth someday. But I wish I saw more empathy from Paul. Paul actually said in his first interview that when the reporter asked him that this must be a mystery to you that she isn't found, like this must be too much. He said actually this has become so much, it's like a speck of a dream. Instead of saying a nightmare, he said a speck of a dream. I know when people have anxiety and something like that happens, that we're not supposed to take literally every word they say. But if I saw more empathy and more emotions on Paul's face, maybe I wouldn't have had any doubts. But it's impossible for Nicola to have fallen near the bench and been found 3 weeks later. For me, that's impossible. Because Nicola was a good swimmer, a good athlete. I know it was cold, I know it was freezing cold because I live in the UK, but she is a regular dog walker in that park. And another proof is that her dog Willow was running from the field to the gate back and forth. He wasn't running at all near the river or near the river bench. Law enforcement clearly said that up to today, they say that Nicola is phone and Nicola is dog, and Nicola is dog's collar made it to the bench. They did not say that Nicola made it to the bench. Nicola was last seen in the field near the bench. There were dog walkers there, and I wonder what the dog walkers said about Nicola's mood, because I didn't hear anything about them for them to have panicked or thought that Nicola looked very that Nicola looked very helpless, or that there was an emergency going on with Nicola, or she was having a mental health breakdown, or that Nicola was, let's be honest, that Nicola was intoxicated. If that happened, the dog walkers that met Nicola would have said that. And I'll end by saying the same thing again, just to summarize this. If Nicola had a drinking problem, God forbid, if Nicola was struggling to menopause, etc., like Paul told law enforcement, then why did Paul let Nicola drive the daughters, their precious daughters, to school? Car accidents happen when people are drinking. Bigger accidents happen. Strangers can die. You can die driving a car intoxicated. So why did he give his partner, who was having struggles with alcohol and depression, why did he let Nicola continue living like nothing happened and drive the children to school? If you see where I'm getting at, this doesn't make sense. There's no emotion, there's no empathy for Mr. Paul's face at all. I don't even hear him mentioning Nicola's name, saying like, come back home, darling, I miss you, the kids miss you, your kids need you, I need you. Nothing of that sort. You never hear this man showing any kind of empathy, showing any kind of emotion whatsoever. And I've been watching all these interviews. He wasn't even part of the search. He came only once, like you see in that picture. He came once or twice. I do understand he has the 2 daughters, like he said, to think about. But he could be with his daughters, though, 20 hours, just say. And just use 4 hours to go around the river banks and search for his wife or his partner, since he knows the area so well. His behavior says a lot. And I would advise everyone to kindly watch Paul's first interview, and remember that was the interview before Nicola was found, when Nicola went missing. Look at how near the bench. Look at how stressed he was. Look at what was happening around him and with him. There were so many red flags there. And then watch the second interview and see how relaxed he was. But he was still getting redder on his face in the second interview. And there were so many still red flags. I believe the next door neighbor, I believe her name was Charlotte, yes. Charlotte said clearly that Nikki and me were very close. She said she misses her. She said that in the interview. And she said that Nicola was a good mom. She said Nicola was a kind person, a good person, hardworking. So explain to me, how can a person with heavy drinking problems be driving children to school without causing any accidents or any hazards? Something's not right. The place Nicola was found and the position Nicola was found, sucked through those waves, didn't look like she was floating to be in the water from the start. I believe Nicola, that's my personal belief, was maneuvered in the water a couple of times. I don't know, I wonder if Nicola had an argument or dispute with Ron, maybe, Penny's sister. It just looks so odd that so many things was going on. Or did Nicola have an enemy that she wasn't aware of it? Was this related to her work? Because she was last logged on to her work. 2 strange men were seen near the church. I really don't know what happened, but I hope they do a thorough investigation. And my last, final words on this topic is everyone should look after the mental health. I feel sorry for Nicola Bulley because she was allegedly struggling of being overwhelmed, I believe, and depression. According to Paul and law enforcement, she was struggling of menopause and alcoholism, but whatever the poor woman was struggling of, she's a hardworking mother, a very decent person. So I wish she got her help from the start. I wonder what happened the day law enforcement came to her house. I don't know why they didn't put her in some kind of therapy or got her some kind of help. If somebody knows that their partner is struggling with addictions or with alcohol or with menopause, the question is, wouldn't you help your partner? Would you actually let your partner drive your beloved children to school? Something doesn't make sense. I believe Nicola was a good mother, and I personally believe that Nicola had personal problems, but I don't think Nicola went to the river to unalive herself or to disappear. I believe something happened to Nicola, but the question is, by who? I'll end on this note, like Paul said, find her, find her, find her. Like he said, people just don't vanish in thin air. So how come she vanished and reappeared after 3.5 weeks in a place next to the roads? Such an easy access. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Look after yourselves, look after your mental health, look after your families, and if you see anyone struggling silently or not silently, or mental health issues like depression and anxiety, please advise them to seek help. Please be kind enough to at least lend them an ear, talk to them, do some active listening. Let them get over whatever they have that's bothering them out of their chest, because life is too short. Just in case Nicola, God forbid, unalived herself, this is one case that is something we should all learn from. Life is too short to be ignoring important things like mental health, because mental health is here to stay. It ain't leaving. We just need to put more resources, time, effort, motivation into mental health. Because mental health is partly, or actually not partly, I correct myself, mental health is mostly the reason of people getting serious physical health or getting into crimes, being victims of crimes, etc. Take care, everyone. Have a lovely evening. And I just remember to repeat the spot again. Please check that Nicola Bulley had a red purse in her van, and I'd really like to know what happened to that bag. Maybe she had it around her jacket, she had it on her, and maybe that was snatched off her, because it's strange that the police haven't mentioned the red bag. But you can clearly see it on the footage of Nicola's last day, and you can pay attention to her face pictures. Nicola does have bruises, allegedly. Please leave a comment. I wish Nicola's few beautiful children, her parents, and her sister, and her partner, and the community, I wish them strength, hope, and time to grieve. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.